What's up, you lot? My name is SIFmasry. Welcome back to today's video. And today's video is, of course, The Walking Dead first look. So obviously, how are you guys doing? Obviously, today is a very big day with a lot of news to discuss, and I'll give my opinion at the end, but of course I have to discuss, as all of you expected me to do. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the concept art and the leaked footage. Yes, okay, so if you didn't watch the live stream, they showed some concept art of the characters, and then they later showed off screen actually 4 minutes worth of footage for the people at PAX East. Everyone who attended PAX East was allowed to view these 4 minutes of gameplay, but however, for people watching from Twitch on the computers at home, obviously the stream actually cut very short. You know, it blacked out the screen and it actually cut the stream early, so obviously we don't get personally a chance to see it. Now, in terms of leaked footage, you really are supposed to actually show the leaked footage. However, I said screw that, I'm gonna post it. You know what, I don't care. Seven Armies has been a huge help for me. You know, it's a really strong fan base on YouTube, and I try my best to actually help you guys in terms of news, release dates, gameplay, whatever it is. You know, I'm trying to be the best I can be. So obviously you're not meant to, but however, I'm gonna slide it in and show you, of course, the footage. So without further ado, I'm gonna show you the leaked footage first now, and then I'm gonna actually discuss the actual concept art first, and then I'm gonna go back to the leaked footage and actually discuss that all jazzy stuff. Anyway, let's go straight into the concept art. So the first concept art we have of The Walking Dead, the final season, you can see the logo on the right, and then you have this new character on the left with a dog. I don't know, what breed do you guys think is he a bulldog, whatever? Anyway, the guy's called Marlon, and obviously you can see he's very much looking like a survivor. I expect that, obviously, you know, he's in season 4, what's that, like maybe 4 years, 5 years plus into the actual zombie apocalypse. So, you know, we're not expecting any kids, but hold on to that thought. So you can see he's got a bow and arrow. You got his you know, must be an archery. You can see his dog's obviously a very defensive dog. He's an attacking, aggressive dog. So he's not just someone that, you know, he happened to be with before the apocalypse. Maybe he came across him in the apocalypse, maybe before then, but it's very obvious that he's a very aggressive dog, and he helps him in times of fighting zombies. You can see the letter E. I'm not sure that signifies anything, but I thought I'd mention it. You can see his clothes a bit teared. He's got a knife case on the side of his right leg where he keeps a knife, so you can see that he's very much a confident man, with a confident attacking style, I'd say. You know, he's got a bow and arrow, a dog, and of course a knife. So you can see that he's very much situated for all ranges, from long range to short range, all that jazz. And obviously the dog is called Rosie, so it's a female dog. This character, he looks like he has a very punchable face, IMO, in my opinion. I'd be interested to know him and how he rolls. So let's go straight into the next one. You can see Lewis, or Louis, depending if the S is silent or not. That very much depends on where the guy's from. Anyway, you can see he's got dreads, he's got a long coat, and he's got obviously skinny legs with, you know, boots. Now in the actual panel, Telltale described him to be more of a fashion over whatever it was. Basically, he kind of wants to cling on to what happened in the past before a pre-zombie apocalypse. So expect some Sarah traits is all I'm going to say. I'm going to expect some Sarah traits from this guy. Got a very feminine face, I suppose that's why. But yeah, he very much keeps with fashion, I guess. You can see, you know, he looks much cleaner. Doesn't look like he has any weapons on him. So maybe that's not the focus of his character as compared to Marlon, who actually when Telltale actually revealed this photo, you could very much see that he's very much equipped, whereas Lewis is maybe actually a comparison, someone that is actually contrasted to Marlon. And obviously the next one, of course, is Violet. Okay, interesting character. I feel like she's going to be bland. I don't know why. Got a very bland, face. Got a potato. She looks like a potato salad. I don't know. She's very bland. She's got a knife, so you can see that maybe she's obviously able to fight. I'm expecting Lewis to be able to fight, because if you're 4 plus 5 years into the zombie apocalypse, you need to, you need to get rid of the past, homie. The shoes are different. I'm not sure if that's like a leg cast on her right leg. Obviously, looking at it, be the left leg. It's a very dirty trousers, especially in the top half of her trousers are very dirty. You can see she's looking directly at the camera as well. Except Marlon. Marlon does not look at the camera, which is actually a significant point I wanted to say. Lewis and Violet actually look at the camera, whereas Marlon doesn't look at the camera, giving me the fact that maybe he likes to be kept alone. He doesn't want to talk about much, I guess. Maybe he keeps more to himself. I'm guessing maybe like a Molly/Jane character in a way. He doesn't look at the camera, as opposed to Lewis or Violet, who they look at the camera. She looks like a female who is actually very interested into fighting as well. She wants to protect the group, but you can tell she's also got a pretty zombie apocalyptic mindset as well. She looks like she could be innocent, but also looking to fight. If I had to compare to a character that I would pursue her as, just from the first look, maybe Sarita. She can fight, but she also has a very kind heart. Maybe we'll have to see. Next character, okay, it's 10. To welcome 10 to the Walking Dead Season 4 family. So I'm guessing we're going to meet all these characters, of course, in Season 4, Episode 1. I'm guessing he's 10 years old. One of the writers said he's 10, 11. And obviously there was the joke saying, does he change his name every year? So he's 10 years old. We have another kid character. This can go horribly wrong or horribly correct. Either way. Do you have faith in Telltale that this is going to be a good character? Do you think he's going to be very whiny? I want to help my family. I think he's going to be a Ben. He's going to be a Sarah. He's going to be a Gabe. We have one of them every single season. But something about me actually, although I have that concern, gives me the feeling that he's actually not going to be that relevant in episode 1, and so we're not going to actually be annoyed by him so much in episode 1. You can see he's anxious. I mean, the way his hands are kind of situated next to each other, you can see he's an anxious guy, a bit scared, a bit nervous even, but he does look at the camera. In terms, he's got shoes, everything. Obviously he's not a fighter because he ain't got guns, similar to Lewis, which I may think Lewis might be the one who's actually a bit more like Gabe or something. It depends. He's very clean about his fashion. He's probably the cleanest out of all the characters alongside 10 in terms of actually cleanliness. He seems like a scrawny guy, Lewis. So compared to 10, you can see some similarities. We do have one white guy, which is Marlon, and we have another white female, Violet, and then we have the little kid 10 who appears to be African American, and you have Lewis who's also African American. So is 10 Lewis's younger brother, perhaps? So it depends. We're going to see how we all kind of connected. And then of course you have Rosie, you have Clementine, etc. So I'm very excited to see. Obviously we've got one more image, of course, and here it is. So it's still as bleak as ever. So this is the concept art, and this is kind of a lot. Okay, so this is the type of thing I was expecting a long time ago, but we didn't receive it until today. So who's that girl in the silhouette? It's Clementine. We all know this. It appears that she's got her hat in this photo, which is very relevant because I'm going to right now you have Clementine in the silhouette looking at the sunlight. Then you have to the left you have a water bottle, you have a fire extinguisher, and you have tally marks on the left actual wall, which is I don't know in terms of Easter eggs. I mean, no real Easter eggs here. I mean, it just kind of reminded me of Call of Duty zombies, to be honest, how you'd have the tally marks as a zombie round. So you know, I don't know, did Clementine survive 15 rounds on zombies? I don't know. So you have a very broken house though. I'm wondering, this is where we're going to meet him. I'm wondering what happened to the McCarroll Ranch. Nothing's really connecting here, except that we know obviously there is a time skip. There's a very obvious time skip because Clementine obviously has her original hair in the actual leaked footage. So as we can see, there is obviously a broken glass, etc. Is that paint on the right side? There's doors being barricaded and everything, and obviously this doesn't look like a nice house, you know, that we're going to be in. Looking like a small stop. Now, what I am going to say is it looks pretty gameplay like, you know. It's got a 360-degree camera footage type of thing, which is very interesting because it's kind of more of a third-person game now rather than just a point-and-click adventure type game. So obviously it says it's a pre-alpha and it does not represent the final game or something along those lines at the very bottom. It's kind of a faint line, so it's hard to see. However, in terms of actually being able to see what we see, it appears like it's a pretty promising start to the game in terms of leaked footage. Obviously, this is only a 40-second clip of what we have received so far. Obviously, people who've watched it have actually received 4 minutes of gameplay, 4 minutes of footage. So in terms of what we've seen, obviously you can see there is a walk-in. You can see clearly the camera is being used to show that you can actually see 360, which kind of helps you kind of actually get set into the environment way more. We can see Clementine. Clementine looks very interesting the way she looks. She looks a bit different, definitely a bit more mature than normal. Her clothes are definitely more torn out and more dusty and dirty and duskier in color, so you can kind of see the progression she's went through. And I'd like to talk about the button layout in terms of the color wheel, the selection wheel. It's not as obvious, the AXYB or X square, triangle, circle, or you know, if you're playing with a mouse, depending on what it is, it's not as obvious. It's kind of, you have to look and press A. I'm guessing if there was more options with the brick, like you can actually look at the brick and then pick it up, there'd be an A and a Y, depending on your console, an option to look at A and an option to press it and pick it up. But in terms of comic book style, it's very much comic book style. You can kind of see in the trees, especially in the trees where it's kind of joined up, to make it look more like a comic book. It's kind of gone black rather than actually showing the individual space, so that's quite interesting. I'm wondering what we are looking for in terms of context. What are we actually trying to achieve here? We are killing a zombie. What are we trying to look for now? This is obviously the alpha footage. You can see Clementine, and in this shot right here you can see a building of some sort. Obviously it's not McCarroll Ranch, it's not a ranch at all, so it can't be the McCarroll Ranch. However, in one of the shots where the bird, obviously you can see the birds go off, and it zooms out the camera, so it's very cinematic as well in terms of gameplay. It's a very cinematic way that they have decided to take, rather than the 180-degree kind of, you know, press wide look. There you go. So it's more cinematic, it's more gameplay driven. So you can kind of see that building. I'm wondering if it looks very similar to the train station image that we have received before. So I'm wondering why that looks very similar. I don't know. It's obviously not. I mean, we're not surrounded by train stations or train rails, etc. Unless it's on the other side. But the gameplay actually just stops there. It stops just as we about to walk up the stairs, which is very annoying. I don't know why the person cut it at 42 seconds. However, whoever took this video, I just want to say thank you, and of course thank you for the 7 Army for actually tweeting me about this. It's very helpful that you guys are actually sending me the video, because I have not watched it until you guys actually sent it to me. I wasn't able to receive the footage. So that is very interesting. What do you guys think? Telltale, if you are watching this, I hope you don't strike me. I hope you don't give me anything, just because when episode 3 season 3 got leaked, you guys didn't do anything. So, you know, I'm taking one for the 7 Army. And that was of course the first panel. Now the second panel is mainly a Q&A, which I have actually decided to take some notes for. And so they are stressing that Marlon's dog doesn't die. Why do they keep stressing that? I do not know. I'm guessing that the dog is going to die, but it could also be a little kind of hint or a tease because if you actually remember in season 2 episode 1, Clementine's obviously looking for food, and that's how she gets her scar on her arm, because a dog bites her and she has to kill the dog. So I don't know if they are trying to say that the dog's not going to die, or that the dog's going to die, because they're always doing this like pinky promise type of thing on the stage. Like kept mentioning this dog. So what do you guys say? It's an interesting dog, I guess. I mean, Marlon and his dog, of course, Rosie. So what else have I got in terms of note? Lewis is flirtatious, and in terms of what he wants to preserve arts and culture, and he's more so, like I've said, he's kind of in the character profile. This is just adding on. He's a very preserved man. He kind of always wants to look at before what happened to the apocalypse. So pre-apocalypse stuff, he looks at them at those moments and wants to treasure them. He's also a man that wants to look good. And then in terms of Violet character profile, she's described as antithesis of Lewis. She's sarcastic, blunt, but she's less jokey-ish, and she can take care of herself. Like I said, Lewis isn't shown with a weapon, so it doesn't seem like he's the type of guy to kill people, to kill zombies, etc. While Violet can take care of herself, so perhaps a little Jane influence on her. 10. Okay, so in terms of 10, what do they describe him having? They describe interesting dialogues. He's obviously surrounded by younger kids. He's grown, and he's described as an apocalyptic baby. In terms of, I don't think he was born into the apocalypse, but he's grown up into apocalypse. Even more so than Clementine. He's younger than Clementine, and he's lived most of his life in the zombie apocalypse. Whereas Clementine, she's had about 8 years of pre-apocalypse, and then the rest was actually apocalypse sub. But she's obviously almost at 50-50 for Clementine, but this obviously 10 is very much more seen as a very apocalyptic baby. So one of the questions are we going to learn about what happened to 10? If you don't know, 10 is obviously half of his face is kind of gone. It's very scarred. His hair, there's no hair growing, so you can kind of tell it's a very serious thing, because it's usually if you have a scar, no hair grows back in that area. So you can kind of see what happened to him. We don't know. Maybe a zombie. Maybe he got shot in the face and survived. Maybe he got burnt by fire. Maybe like Game of Thrones. No spoilers. So are we going to learn about what happened to 10? The answer saying no. We are going to keep it more ambiguous. But rather in season 4 episode 1, we're going to head into his background and what his story is, kind of. So one person asked, how involved do Clementine get with the new characters? The reply was, I can't say. That was from Melissa Hutchinson. She can't say how involved she got with the characters. At first she said she doesn't know, but then she's just like, okay, I was lying, I can't say. So in terms of how involved does Clementine get as a fan, from a fan's perspective, from an audience perspective, I hope so. I hope we get involved quite a lot, because these are new characters, and not gonna lie, okay, so no expectations, but I do have high hopes. So we are starting off with AJ. We have found AJ, and that is confirmed by the writers that we are going to start season 4 with AJ. That is very interesting. I don't know what they mean by that. We are going to start season 4 with AJ. However, I don't know if that means closer to season 3 time, so right after we found AJ in the Macau Ranch, or maybe closer to season 4 time, so maybe a 2-year time skip. I've discussed it with some of my friends, and no one's really sure on what it's going to be. So in terms of main locations and sets, that was a question that was asked, and the answer to that is the boarding school is going to be one of the main sets. So in terms of what is going to be there, there's going to be a lot of kids that have been there the whole of their time, the whole life. So what we can expect of the boarding school, we don't know the name for it yet. We just know it's a boarding school. It's going to be fortified, and it is going to have a lot of kids. A bunch of kids are going to be in this boarding school. Some of this cast, like Violet and Lewis and 10 for sure, I know they are quite young. I know Violet is predicted to be around 13-14 years of age. I'm guessing similarly to Lewis and 10. Obviously 10's probably lived there his whole life really. Marlon, I don't know his age. He doesn't look too old, doesn't look too young, maybe 16. In terms of how we're going to meet those characters, definitely the boarding school. We might go past it by an accident, etc. after meeting AJ, something like that. So in terms of the last couple notes, hints at an emotional ending. Okay, so in the first panel and the second panel, they've talked about how they want to have a emotional ending, that it's almost that it wants to be a love letter from the directors and the producers to the fans. Love letter that could be that can be a hint at an emotional ending. Melissa Hutchinson was asked, "What do you hope for Clementine?" Now, Melissa is of course the voice actor for Clementine, and she says, "I hope she doesn't die." Obviously a bit selfish of her, but you know, she's the voice actor of one of the best gaming characters, and I hope she doesn't die. I'm sure that's what a lot of people also hope, but if it means it's going to have an amazing emotional ending, I'm down for it. You know, I've said it. So also we're going to have more important characters. So the writers, one of the writers, was actually kind of worried about how it was mainly filled with Clementine and AJ, and how they're going to survive. They want to have more important characters. They want to have people feel sympathetic towards other new characters. Now, obviously, that depends on how the character development and the character progression is handled in season 4. Obviously, that depends on how they're going to actually handle that personally. But for now, all I care about is Clementine and AJ. In terms of the characters, I have high hopes but no expectations right now. So what do you guys, do you guys have high hopes? You know, you tell me. So they want to have more important characters. They want to have a leading cast, I'm guessing, followed by a miniature cast. So maybe, you know, you have in season 3 you had David, Kate, Clementine, AJ to an extent, obviously, and you have Gabe. Those were kind of the leading cast, the leading group, and then obviously as a secondary group, you had Trip and Eleanor, Conrad, determinedly. So they want to follow the same thing, but obviously if they're going to follow that same procedure, I really want them to actually be able to, for real this time, literally this time they have to get it right in terms of character development. And the last point, last but definitely not the least point, exploration. They mentioned how they went towards a season 1 style of where it's gameplay driven. Again, we've seen in terms of gameplay that it's gone a 360 camera kind of view. Very interesting. I like it personally. It reminds me more of a game rather than it being an interactive movie. So on the going for the gameplay scene, they said that it wants to be, like, you know, filled with exploration, thus resulting into puzzles. So good stuff really. All I'm hearing is good stuff. I'm not really hearing anything that's bad. Of course, thank you everyone who's actually tweeted at me and helped me make this video quicker. You know, I had some fans who actually DM'd me. I've had some fans who've actually added me, mentioned me in public tweets about certain scenes, etc., and certain links, etc. So obviously, thank you so much for everyone who actually did that. Other than that, thank you guys so much. This was The Walking Dead first look, all details noted right here. So of course, if you wanna head back to this video and show your friends, please show your friends this video, because it's literally got everything possible that I can show you. Other than that, tell me your notes, and thank you for this extra long Walking Dead video. I've tried my best to keep you entertained. Hopefully you are entertained. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and in a bit.